Kristy Yenick. I am an embryologist here at NCRM. I'm also an andrologist, but we're one and the same, so we do both things. So this is the egg retrieval room. This is an operating room, and this is where, if we're doing an IVF procedure, patient's going to come in and the provider or doctor is going to aspirate follicles. Follicles contain eggs, blood, fluid, cell debris. So that is when Dr. Witten or Dr. Folk is going to pass the tube to me in the embryology, or Patty or Geary, one of the embryologists. And this door over here actually opens up into the embryology lab. This is where we'll start to look for eggs. And these eggs that we're looking for in the follicular fluid, that's no bigger than a grain of salt, really, it's pretty hard to see with the naked eye, is either going to be a mature egg or an immature egg. So we can actually only inseminate mature eggs. So that is when we are going to assess and pull out the eggs, and then put it through a series of different washes to make sure it's still viable and it's an okay egg. And then later we're going to take sperm, put the sperm through a series of different preparations and washes in the laboratory to make it super sperm. And that's when we're going to take that sperm and either do the IVF. Do the IVF everybody knows and talks about. And we're going to either do one of two things. We're going to do conventional IVF that everybody pretty much learns about, where you take sperm and egg in a petri dish and let it all kind of mix together. Or we're going to do a procedure called ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So that's where we're going to take a sperm and an egg, and we're going to actually join them together under the microscope, ensuring that fertilization is actually occurring. And then we'll put it back in the incubator. The incubator actually in here is where the embryos are housed, and it is CO2 regulated, pH oxygenated, as well as temperature regulated. So it's very optimal house for the embryo. That is where we keep the embryos in until we pull them out and we need to do our series of checks. So after 16 to 18 hours, we're going to take the embryos out and see if fertilization occurred. How we distinguish fertilization is if we see an embryo and it has 2 pronuclei, that means cell division is actually occurring. Fertilization did occur here. We'll put them back in the incubator, and then we'll come back on day 3 and we'll start to look at embryos and see if they are they're kind of a critical time point in the laboratory. Embryos are going to make or break it at this stage. Not 100% one way or the other way, but we're going to give them a grade. The embryologist is going to grade the embryos on their cell division, if there's 4 cell, 8 cell, and also kind of their fragmentation. Do the cells match each other, or are they asymmetrical or symmetrical? And so we're going to understand at what division of mitosis and meiosis the cell itself is actually at. And this hopefully will give rise to a blastocyst. A blastocyst is what we want to get to on day 5. A blastocyst will give rise to an embryo that will hopefully attach to the uterine wall and make a baby, as we all know and hope for today. The blastocyst has a outside mass, which is called a trophectoderm, which gives rise to the placenta, and an inner cell mass, which actually gives rise to the baby. Our hope is that the blastocyst on day 5 will either be biopsied by a test called pregenetic screening, or biopsy, and we'll take a piece of the trophectoderm, or the outside, send that off to another laboratory, and that laboratory will come back and say, yes, the embryo is a euploid embryo or an aneuploid embryo, meaning chromosomally normal or abnormal. This benefit is to make sure that when we take that embryo and put it back into mom-to-be, that's an euploid, chromosomally normal embryo. That's what we all want, that will hopefully give rise to baby. We could also go and freeze all the embryos in the laboratory and come back and do a frozen embryo transfer, allow the body to reset, and a new protocol will be formed after that to kind of make sure that the uterine lining is an optimal environment to hopefully allow the embryo to adhere and grow and develop. Or we will do a fresh embryo transfer. So those are one of the 3 different things that we do after a blastocyst is formed, after IVF in its entirety. That takes place in the egg retrieval room here. This is also the frozen embryo transfer room. So this is where the doctor and the laboratory really connect and talk, and this is where the magic happens. So that is IVF. Thank you for everyone that came to the Fertility Fair. It was a really amazing event. Thanks for learning about what we do in the laboratory and throughout the office. And if anyone has any questions, there's a lot that was covered. Please feel free to call our office at 775-828-1200. We have a really knowledgeable staff that wants to help you reach your goal. So thank you for being with us tonight. We had a great time, and hopefully we'll do it again next year. Give us a call.